CJ Werleman is on the line with us. He's an Australian-born author, columnist, and U.S. political and social commentator, an out atheist. His website's CJ Werleman, WERLEMAN.com. And he wrote a brilliant piece for Alternate. Actually, I'm not sure if it originated there. CJ could tell us, but on the title on the Alternate site is Radicalized Right-Wing Activists Pledging Allegiance to Dangerous Agenda. CJ, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Thanks for joining us. Let's see. America, God is not done with America yet. This is Ted Cruz?
Ted Cruz doing his best to plagiarize ISIS.
Yeah, I find it really quite remarkable that on the one hand, you've got these right-wing Christian fundamentalists arguing that an Islamic state like Iran is dangerous because it's a theocracy. And then on the other hand, with no seeming cognitive dissonance whatsoever, arguing that America is a Christian nation and which is implicitly a theocracy.
Absolutely. I mean, to say in one breath that Iran is dangerous because it's theocracy and then criticize Obama because his agenda is not based on the Bible, I mean, the disconnect, the mental disconnect is just extraordinary.
So where does this, how is this doing in the United States? I mean, I remember the Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, they were kind of non-political, and then it became Jerry Falwell, and it became highly politicized. And then in the Bush administration, taking all these young people out of Liberty University and populating the Justice Department with them, and all the crazy things that happened as a consequence of that. The rise of the so-called religious right. George W. Bush was in charge of bringing the religious right into his father's campaign when he was running for president back in 1988. Where are we at right now in terms of the onslaught of theocracy in the United States?
Well, I think we're in a very scary situation. I mean, you only had to listen to any of the sound bites or the snippets of which came out of the Value Voters Summit over the weekend. Now, this is the Republican Party, more or less, their annual retreat for religious extremists. You know, I like to call it a terrorist training camp, but without the outdoor exercise and the monkey bars. Now, I choose the word terrorist very carefully here because subscribers of far right-wing ideologies pose a much greater threat to America's national security than what the Islamic State does. These religious fanatics are already within the confines of the U.S., and they've adopted such a radical anti-government right-wing ideology that we're now seeing these threats carried out into actions. While America is becoming hysterical about that, the lady who was murdered by or beheaded by a co-worker who espoused Muslim or Islamic ideologies, nobody's talking about the far-right Christian anti-government ideology of the Pennsylvania cop killer. And very little attention was given to the motives, the anti-government far-right-wing ideological motives, rather, of the Millers in Las Vegas when they murdered 2 police officers and a Walmart employee. And then we had Clive and Bundy supporters pointing rifles at federal agents. Let's also not forget that the biggest massacre of any group was Anders Breivik, a very far right-wing nutcase who slaughtered up to 70 liberal students in Norway. So with this movement is becoming radicalized. You only had to listen to Michelle Bachmann, who said that we should not be declaring a war not only on Islamic terrorism, but Islam itself. And Jerry Boykin, who's a religious conservative pastor, praised ISIS or lamented the fact that Christians in this country are cowardly because they haven't adopted the same radical expression of violence as has ISIS in the Islamic State or in Syria and Iraq.
Yeah, and this is so antithetical to the history of the United States. I mean, Jefferson, Madison, even George Washington refused to assert whether or not he was even a Christian. Which delighted Thomas Jefferson. We've come really quite a long ways in terms of and you know, even Bill Clinton went along with this. The stuff that started in a small way in the Reagan administration really picked up steam with the Bush senior administration. The 1,000 Points of Light, these multi-million and now they're multi-billion-dollar transfers of government money into religious organizations under the guise of various purposes. James Madison's first veto when he became president back in what was it, 1809, I guess. His first veto was a bill that would have given federal money to churches to care for homeless people, to provide them with health care and a place to sleep and food. And Madison vetoed that, saying this is a state function. We've been running the poorhouses since the George Washington administration. We're going to continue to run them. We're not going to cycle this money through the churches. And here we are now.
Correct, Tom. And you raise a good point with Clinton. Now, these people that attend these Values Voters Summit and these Christian conservative groups and people who subscribe to these kind of far right-wing ideologies, they're angry for the right reasons. They're angry for a middle class which has been gutted out, a welfare system which has been eroded, the rights of the labour force, collective bargaining has been stripped away. They see their savings dilapidated. They see their net worth fall. They're saddled with debt, medical bankruptcies, and so forth. And they've seen Wall Street be bailed out, but rather than, underwater home mortgages be bailed out to the same degree or even to a similar extent. So they're angry for the right reason. They're angry capitalism has left these people behind, but they're blaming the wrong things rather than blaming, the corporate totalitarian state, which has stripped away or absolutely murdered liberalism in this country. And liberalism meaning, providing the economic needs for a people. And where you don't meet the economic needs of a people, which is the case of the United States, people turn to far right-wing, dangerous Christian ideologies or Islam or religious ideologies.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that the equivalent of the Christian right and these far right ideologies don't exist in places in healthy liberal democracies like Australia and Canada and Scandinavia and so forth and Western Europe, is because liberalism still thrives. Liberalism still meets the economic needs of the people, but we've abandoned the working class and the middle class in this country. Democrats have sold out liberalism, and now there's all that's left to cling to is gods, guns, and so forth.
Yeah, yeah. And the hatred of people who are different, whether they be gay or brown or black or whatever. I'm with you. Boy, where do we go from here?
Well, where we go from here is we have to salvage the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has, totally beholden to Wall Street, not to the same degree as the Republican Party, but they're almost there. There's a couple of shining lights left, but you can really, out of, the 534, congressmen, including senators, there's really only two that you can say that haven't been completely, bought out by Wall Street and corporate America, and that's Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. They're really the last two champions.
I think Sherrod Brown's done a pretty good job of fighting Wall Street. I mean, he's on the banking committee, and he takes these guys on regularly.
Sure, absolutely. But, if we do this naming exercise, we're probably not going to get to more than a half a dozen candidates. Well. So, what hope is there for liberalism in the future when you have liberals, full card-carrying membered liberals, getting ready for Hillary?
Well, and this is without debating the merits or demerits of Hillary Clinton, this process, strip people down, break them down, and then tell them that they need religion and that the people who broke them down, the people, it's that black person who took your job, it's that brown person who took your job. This. I've been doing a fair amount of reporting on the Arab Spring, and it turns out that just prior to the Arab Spring, all of the countries in which these revolts happened were embracing neoliberalism as a consequence, the austerity politics as a consequence of the IMF demanding it. So, anyway, CJ, we're flat out of time, but you wrote a great piece for Alternate. Thanks for dropping by and talking with us about it.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Anytime.
CJ Werleman.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
CJ's website is cjwerleman.com. cjwerleman.com. We'll be back.